Hi, welcome to the Expanding Entrepreneur podcast, where we support entrepreneurs and small teams expand their reach, their impact, and their profits beyond six figures, all while avoiding burnout. I'm your host, Lisi Kempton, founder of SoulTree Operations. We're a business growth agency located in Boulder, Colorado, and we've been guiding entrepreneurs and small teams to scalable, strategic, and sustainable success for the past 20 years. Our guest today is Elizabeth Winter Plum, founder of Uncommon Coaching. Elizabeth is a confidence and mindset optimization coach from Boulder, Colorado. But before I introduce Elizabeth, in case you are new to Get Vocal, let me tell you how this works. If you are watching on Facebook, then you will not be able to interact with us live, which is fine. You can totally watch on Facebook. But if you want to be able to interact with us and ask Elizabeth questions, then head over to getvocal.com, and it's GETVOKL.com. And you can join the broadcast that way. And when I'm done with the interview, then you can grab a spot in this broadcast or in my channel. I think it's called the channel. In the channel, in my room, it's actually a room. So grab a room in the channel and then you can ask Elizabeth questions, but I won't open that up until the end of the interview. So head over to Get Vocal, and you can also do it on your app, actually. There's a Get Vocal app, GETVOKL. So hopefully we'll see you there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read Elizabeth's bio here and then invite her to join us. Elizabeth Winter Plum was raised in a small Northern Californian town amongst vineyards and redwood trees. She traveled the world alone for almost a decade before landing in Boulder in 2013. An ardent adventurer and explorer, Elizabeth's professional passion has been expanding what's possible. Having spent the last decade in the coaching and consulting industry, she's experienced the monumental benefits of asking piercing questions, and she does, with a kind, objective perspective, which she does. As a confidence coach, she covets being in the space of deep insight, of revealing crucial truths and realizations that have been lurking in the subconscious. Elizabeth guides clients from uncertainty and overwhelm to confidence and attunement with themselves, their business, and their future team. Her work often takes place in the great outdoors as she helps clients become the future version of themselves that can serve their clients best. All right, that's Elizabeth Winter Plum. I'm going to unlock these boxes and ask Elizabeth to join us. Elizabeth, go ahead and cam up. Join us in Get Vocal, the Expanding Entrepreneur podcast.
Lisi. Here I am.
Hi, there you are.
What a lovely intro. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. And welcome to the Expanding Entrepreneur podcast. It's awesome to have you.
Honored to be here.
Good. Thanks for taking time out of the, it's nice outside. There's beautiful weather and you came inside.
Totally. I'm inside for once.
Unusual. You came inside for a minute. So we feel honored that you joined us.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get started. I've got a few questions to ask. I'm sure the audience is dying to hear all about what confidence and mindset optimization coaching is all about. Mm-hmm. All right, there's usually a story behind every entrepreneur's success, and I imagine you have your own story. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how Uncommon Coaching came to be?
Sure. That's a stellar first question, by the way. Mm-hmm. Tick the ball off well.
Thanks.
Yeah, my journey to coaching was circuitous. Definitely not a straight shot. I did a lot of really kind of random things in my 20s and early 30s, but there's always been this thread of personal reflection, kind of by virtue of the way I was raised. There has always been a bent toward personal growth for myself, and then like a deep desire to help people through their limiting beliefs or through their awkwardnesses or pains or problems by kind of putting that same lens, shining that same lens upon them. So even when like, I think I started in my first like academic foray was in animal behavior. I studied animal behavior in Vermont. It's like squirrels and chipmunks.
Oh my God. I did not know that about you.
And then
That's cool.
I moved to South Africa, and I studied marine biology and got my undergrad in, ecology conservation. And I thought I was going to be a wildlife veterinarian or something.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Boulder and I became a sustainability consultant. So I was working with businesses on how to do less bad for the planet. And then little by little, I just kind of like eked my way into the coaching realm. And I started working one-on-one full-time last year, and then in groups this year, like doing both and both. And now I love it because my lens of personal reflection remains. And now I get to like be immersed in it and help people through their limiting stuff. And it's, I'm just in it all the time, all day.
Nice. Okay, I have to ask a few clarifying questions about
Okay.
that intro here.
Sure.
I am very curious to know, like, how did you segue from the animal stuff, right? You were helping, you wanted to be, well, it was first animal stuff, and then marine biology, and then into sustainability. Like, how did you find that path? I mean, that's kind of a zigzag. That's not like a straight shot.
No, that's why I say circuitous.
It
was like a little path. It was a little meandering path.
So can you tell us a little bit, like, what led you to each of those different things? That's very curious.
Yeah. Happy to. I am a super, super, super strong naturalist and environmentalist. Like by far my highest value is on natural spaces and a balanced ecosystem. So I raised dogs, I rode horses, I grew up on a farm, I ran around barefoot in the mud. Like I was really wanted to be outdoors and learning about animals from the moment I could. Like I rode horses almost before I could walk. And then I slowly I worked at my dad's veterinarian office, and then I became obsessed with learning why animals did things and why they would herd or why they would move or why they would prey or why they would live in certain places. And then that led into marine biology by virtue of just kind of transitioning through a different medium, like water instead of land and air. And then I realized that what I really wanted was for natural spaces that were intact to remain. And I saw that we were really doing a lot of environmental damage as humans. And so I moved into sustainability so that I could help people do less bad for the things that I wanted to keep living. So I had trails and animals had spaces, and that lasted 10 years. I think I was working in kind of conservation consulting. And then I kind of just moved into the riddle of humans and like why humans do things and why we are the creatures that we are. And now I just apply my brain differently, but I still love animals and I still love natural spaces so much.
That's so cool. And it actually is a pretty, that makes sense now that you just transition. It does kind of all connect and flow together.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I can't wait to hear what's next for you.
I know, right? Who knows? It could be tightrope walking or something.
Right. With you never know. So what do you attribute? I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about this, but not directly. So what do you attribute the development of your own personal confidence to be? And have you always been a confident person? Like, were you born a confident person? Or did your parents say, oh yeah, oh my God, Elizabeth came out of the womb and she was confident? Or was it something that happened in your family that built that confidence for you, helped you build the confidence?
I should ask my family if they thought that I was confident as a young child. I don't remember feeling that way. Like I remember having a really strong personal rudder, and that was something that, just my mom raised us to have a really intrinsic sense of self. But I had my own, I was I was an insecure kid. I have really large ears, and when I was a kid, they stuck out really badly, and I was so self-conscious about them, and I wanted to be with the cool kids, and I felt like I was always a little bit of a loner. So I definitely had my I wasn't walking around being the queen's the bee's knees my whole life. But when I finished high school, I made a conscious decision not to go straight to college, and I took what ended up being almost 5 gap years. And the first one, I went overseas by myself, and I started traveling in New Zealand alone for a year almost. And then I just kept on traveling alone and kept on traveling alone, and more random and more, maybe sketchy countries. And that built this sense of self, built up this sense of self so dramatically. Like, it's like a traveling alone this is my theory. Traveling alone is like a fast track to self-confidence and to self-knowing and to self-appreciation, because you're out there in the middle, I'm in the middle of a country. I don't speak the language. I have a headache. I need food. I need a place to, rest my head for the night. And I've got to communicate all this in a language that's not mine to people who have different beliefs. So it's just this like amazing vortex of like super, super self-reliance. And I credit completely the person that I am today with the decade of solo travel that I did. And now I feel like I just get to integrate it more and more. And like, I like have even more affection for myself. I have even more reverence for the things that I've done. And it's in this really like baked in way where I don't like things just, I don't know, they don't really bother me very much anymore.
Well, you had to have had some pretty serious self-confidence in order to go on that first trip alone. Because a lot of people like, there's no way, there's so many people who do that. So there had to have been confidence before that to help you take that first leap. So it sounds like you're attributing that to your family life and your mom.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really lucky to have like the upbringing that I did. And my mom was very courageous, and she taught us a lot about, being, I don't know, I guess that's being your own best friend, maybe? Yeah.
Nice. That's very cool. I love hearing that and knowing that about you.
Yeah.
So then so back to your coaching then, or a segue to your coaching, who is your ideal client based on all of that experience, that life experience that you have, and deciding that you wanted to be a confidence and mindset optimization coach? Maybe we should define that first. Let's define that for everybody first. Like, what does that mean? Mindset and confidence optimization.
Sure. So the way I think of like not just a healthy mindset, but like a really vibrant mindset is to think of everything and everyone like an opportunity for growth, friendship, eager challenge, like to see even the pitfalls that a lot of people find and challenges that a lot of people have in business and in life, to see those as like exciting hurdles instead of daunting
roadblocks or
inevitabilities. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think, and it's like, I think of it as the way to, not the way from. So like, instead of trying to apply that mindset to things, there's a place that one can get when one is a really, really true and good friend to oneself, where that mindset just becomes innate. Like, it's like, oh, like, why wouldn't I see this as a challenge? Or why wouldn't I see this as like a cool, exciting thing? Because I know, like, I trust intrinsically that I will do it. I trust intrinsically that I can do it. And it's the concept of self-rapport, or rapport with oneself, that I really try and like teach and live, that to me embodies or like completely condenses both confidence and mindset optimization.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So then who is your ideal client and how do you support them?
Well, my ideal client, very generally speaking or broadly speaking, is anybody who wants to do something that they don't think they can do. Or wants to be a way that they don't.
Pretty much everybody at some point, right? Many points in their life.
Yep. Even me. And so specifically, I've narrowed down to work with women entrepreneurs. That usually ends up being women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And lately I've started working with men in their 20s and 30s who are online dating and who want more confidence dating and in intimacy with women. So I had missed working with men, so I wanted to bring in a little bit more of that. So anything that really I can work with a lot of different people, but usually like the problems that I really like helping people get through have to do with being able to expand their businesses and step into a new sense of self with that, or be relational in the way that they really want to be. Intimacy coaching.
Yeah. So then when we're talking about expanding entrepreneurs, how important is it for them to have confidence in themselves when they're expanding their business? And do you see, or how might it affect them in their business if they don't have that confidence when they're starting to expand? Or will they even take that first step if they don't have the confidence?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good one, right? Like, this is a great, you probably deal with this a lot in the women that you are teaching systems and tools of this in. Well, confidence is huge kind of in any big endeavor. And that definitely applies to expansion in business, or like entrepreneurship in general is such a,
great.
It's like, when I see a client like mired in limiting beliefs, like her whole business feels like a chore. So she's overworked, she's overwhelmed, she's scattered, she's like, feels like she's like fundamentally fearful that of her business not succeeding. And what basically, like, her business is running her and not the other way around. And then there's contraction instead of expansion, and there's a lot of fear instead of confidence. And at one point or another, this kind of happens to us all when we're starting a business. And I think that's just because the process of doing it is fundamentally freaky. Like, there's so many new things to learn. There's so many systems to master. There's so many intricacies to keep track of. And like, given all that, plus the weight of, raising children or having a family, which most of my clients, have and do, it's kind of a miracle that if every woman did feel confident through every stage of the journey, like, that would be the rarity.
That's the exception.
Yeah, that's the exception. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think confidence is a big fulcrum in the business thing, and then it links or bleeds to things like overwhelm and stress and poor day-to-day habits and things like that. So there's correlation and a causation in both directions.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're so right. Like, just being an entrepreneur every day, waking up, you have to put on that confidence hat to continue to move forward.
Yeah, I had a client actually that I just worked with last week, and she's an established therapist. She's like been doing an amazing job running a therapy business for a while, and now she wants to move into a different niche and kind of create a program for adult women that has to do with art and movement. And it's like just a beautiful vision and completely wonderful. But every time she sits down to work on it, she hears this little voice. Are you still there, Lisi? Oh, there you are. Okay.
That's we're back.
Yeah, every time she sits down
to
in
the matrix.
She hears this little voice like that. Are you sure you can do it? Like, why would you be creating this program? There's so many other programs like this in Boulder. Like, why would anybody buy yours? And so it's no wonder that she can't really harness her genius or let her creativity flow, because there's this like kind of voice. So we worked on her confidence as well as her motivation. And, I won't give away too much of her journey, of her details, but at the end of the session, she's beaming with brilliance. She's, reconnected to her vision. She's confident and eager. And when she sits down to work on her program, that little voice is not an issue anymore. And so now, like, her creativity is free. Now she can flow. Now she can build. Now she can craft. And now she can expand. It was
nice. That's so beautiful. So can you share, like, my next question was going to be like, what are a couple guiding principles you use? Maybe we can keep on that person that you've just worked with. And can you share a couple things, obviously without divulging anything that's confidential, like some of the things that you did or some of the things you do in general when you're working with your clients to bring that to help them overcome the limiting beliefs and get them to that place of expansion?
I have actually like a handful of things that I kind of recommend to everyone, regardless of what their particular flavor of limiting belief is. One, and it's one that I would say I practice 80% of the time, and I really notice the difference when I do, is before I start my day, like, so maybe I've had I'm drinking my coffee, or I'm my kombucha, or my heritage tea from Bangladesh, or whatever it is. I sit without any devices and without any screens for 3 to 5 minutes, and I don't move. Like, I'm not trying to meditate. I don't have my eyes closed. I'm not in the lotus position. I'm not deeply focusing on my breath or world enlightenment, but I'm just making my body sit still when it's having this like jerk, like trying to, like, it's trying to do all the different things at once, because I know that my day is going to be full of calls or integrations or platforms or computer work or what have you, and it wants to start on everything at the same time. So I make myself sit still, and I visualize like myself running through the day, not running through the day, but I visualize how my day is going to go, and I plan it out in my head, so that it's never like, it's my, like, I'm generating the decision on what I work on, like, as to what I work on. And it's not like this reflexive putting out a fire, putting out a fire, putting out a fire response, which is so, like, it's just like it, like, and that, you know, it's inextricable. That feeling of like, there's always something to do is inextricable with being kind of starting a business, because you literally never have nothing to do. So yeah, that's one big one, is just to sit still and to vision out the day. And I do it in sped up. So I do it like 2 or 3 times faster than like real life would go. But I move, I'm like, okay, what time do you want to eat lunch? What are you going to be eating for lunch? What are you going to do after lunch? When are you going to stop working? And I kind of make those goal markers evident in my mind, so that when I begin, it's in a way that feels in control, and like I'm moving toward the thing that I want to do in an integrated and intentional way, instead of in a flustered, hectic, kind of way. Yeah.
Yeah. That moves you out of being reactive.
Yeah.
Into being
and then like
proactive.
Another one I have that I really
it.
recommend to people is to leave the house at least a couple times a week to work, like leave the house, whether it's to go to a friend's house and co-work, or go to the library and sit in, a quiet corner. I am actually a huge fan of working on the bus. Like, I take my tablet on the bus with me. Yeah. And it feels like an adventure.
Really?
I hotspot to my phone, and I'm answering emails, or I'll be like designing a document, or just, it's really helpful for me to be in motion, or it's really helpful for me to think well when I'm in motion. So when I was traveling around, I remember it was Bosnia a couple of years ago. I was in Bosnia, and I started writing when I was on the train looking out the window, and I wrote so much better and so much more when I had that like life moving by me thing happening. So anyway, yeah, leaving the house is big, because otherwise we're like in our pajamas, we're just like in this weird isolated state of like almost like we're in our own quarantine. Entrepreneur quarantine. Sorry.
That's true. That's what it feels
comment
like
on coronavirus, but it kind of feels like that. Like, you're just by yourself the whole day. So yeah, setting up tasks so that you can work on them outside the house. So whether that means, moving things from one device to another so that it's portable, and you leave your desktop and take your laptop, or what have you. That's a fun one. And that one you can do in really, like, you can do it for 2 hours. You can do it for an entire day if you want. You can take yourself to the mountains and work remotely from there. And so there's a lot of different ways that can get played in and feel a lot more like you're having a life while you're building this thing, And then the last one, maybe the hardest to implement, and a little bit like the most kind of nebulous, but it's definitely the biggest. It's definitely like the biggest possible pivot that I think people can make in a short amount of time. And that's basically like when you start to feel scared or uncertain or overwhelmed, ask yourself about this situation that I'm in. What would I like? How would I like to feel? How would I like to respond? What would I like to do? And it has to be something in your power. So it can't be like, I wish my taxes were done already. Or magically, like, I wish the fairies came and did my taxes.
Right.
But
Well, maybe
right,
you
then you
can
do,
say
and then
that,
so
but
what?
then you
Okay,
have
so
to do
like, if the
one
fairies came
that's
and did my taxes,
realistic. ...
then it's like, if if that's
Yeah,
not going to happen,
right.
if the fairies aren't going to come do my taxes, then it's like, going into this, going through what I'm going through right now, and given that I'm going to do my taxes myself, which I'm going to do this year, so that I can really learn how they work. I get to choose, like, how do I want to go about this? I want to feel eager. Like, I want to feel curious. I want to feel like a badass. I want to feel like I'm getting a chance to learn something new, and I'm getting a chance to master a useful skill that's going to serve me for the rest of my business, and for the rest of my life in business, regardless. And I can feel energized and curious about it. And it feels like it seems like almost impossible advice. Like, it's like, who would want to feel curious and excited about doing taxes, right? It's like the most dreadful thing that most people think of in life ever.
Right.
But the simple act of making a choice about how you want to be or feel or do is a really close building block. It's a very close friend of confidence. The minute you can start choosing how you want to experience a situation, you are innately, like, becoming a little bit of a more decisive and stronger, and that yields to confidence in my world, anyway, my belief. Yeah.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
Exactly.
Right. Because
Right.
yeah,
You're taking, like, you're running the situation instead of the situation running you. Yeah. Yeah. So those three are good. Yeah, I use those all the time.
Those are really
I
good.
don't. I notice it, and then I can, like, especially the number 3, the one where, like, I ask myself, what would I like? It, for me, because I think I've been doing it for years now, and it's part of the kind of modality of coaching that I learned really deeply, which was neuro-linguistic programming. And they ask this question. This is like their fundamental question in transformational neuro-linguistic programming: is, what do you want? What would you like? What would that do? Yeah.
Well, then it opens up the possibilities. Yeah. It opens up some
Yes.
possibilities that you might not even
totally
have considered.
And the most amazing
Like, you
thing
don't ask those
about
questions.
people's problems is that they often don't know what they want instead. Like, they're so busy, and they spend so much neural energy, like, focusing on the program or the problem, and dissecting the problem, and, like, writing about the problem, and texting about the problem, and bitching about the problem. And then you go, okay, so about that, what would you like instead? And they're like, I don't know, I haven't thought of that. Yeah, there was like, this is just the way it was. So this is where all my energy was focused.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so true. I can relate to that in my own life. Occasionally, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. You're welcome.
Oh my God, I love that. That's a good one.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah. I will. Yeah, I'm actually going to try to make that like a regular reaction and response to when I get stuck, focusing on a problem.
Yeah, and you could actually put it on a timer. Like, you could put it on a 2-hour timer for like a week or so, and just get in the habit of that question being something that your brain starts to read and starts to piece together. Because what I find is that when you start to go into the tunnel of the problem, it's kind of difficult at that point to swim out of that whirlpool and look at it from the outside. But if your brain is already like starting to cogitate, to like pick apart that question on a regular basis, then it's a lot easier to say, hey, this doesn't feel right. What do I want instead? Hey, this doesn't feel right. What do I want instead? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're good. So whoever's listening, write those down. Write those tips down, post them up on your wall so you don't forget. Yeah, those are good ones. I think that would help expanding entrepreneurs and anybody.
I hope so. They help me
no
so much. It's like, night and day. Yeah.
Good. Nice. So what has you
Oh God,
excited
so
and fired
much.
up this year? What's
So
going on
much.
with you?
I just got
Anything
back
new?
from like a couple months in Mexico where I went there to do a few adventures, like outdoorsy adventures. I did an overland bike ride and a canyon leadership course. But then I mainly went to write curriculum for this program that I'm super excited about launching early May. It's going to be for men who are online dating who really want to like learn how women want to be touched and turned on and like dated. And I've never taught anything like it, so there's nervousness and excitement, which is cool. Like I get to, practice my I get to walk my own talk. Yeah, practice what I preach, exactly.
Practice what you preach, right?
And then after that, I'll be doing a summer program for women, for entrepreneurs, and that'll be the partly in the outdoor. It'll be partly online, partly outdoors, group and one-on-one content.
Yeah.
And then I'm debating if I can do these next two. I will. This will be like later in the year. I'm hankering to teach a program on how to travel alone. And also, yeah, like exactly. This would be like totally practicing what I preach. And then also a program on, it's like not just lifestyle sustainability, but it's kind of like how to stay sane in a world that feels like it's ending. How to keep hope, kind of.
Yeah.
And those ones I haven't yet, that I have a lot of content written for, and I've thought so much about both of those throughout my life that I would love to impart that, the content and the words and the wisdom that I've accumulated. We'll see about those, but for sure the first two are going to happen. And I've never I've never like done coaching in a program before. I've always just kind of done one-on-one packages. So this is going to be super exciting. It's like the year of programs. I went crazy, and now I'm just designing programs like it's nobody's business. Yeah,
I love it because
also
then you can
actually
support more
feels
people at
like
one
cool.
time.
So like a little secret thing about me is that I used to want to be an actress. Like when I was young, I was totally different. I was like, I was
Really?
in some plays.
What else?
Like promotional videos for the film festival here in Boulder. So anyway, I love attention and I love being on camera. And the program vibe kind of like has that a little bit of that flavor where you're actually like, hey, like I've got an audience in front of me here. Like there's people who are wanting to learn and not just in this deep one-on-one way. It's kind of this like cool diffused way. So I'm really excited to see how it goes. And I'm super excited to see how it feels to coach men, especially on intimacy.
Yeah, good luck with that. We're gonna have to have you back like in a few weeks.
Tips for a male audience, sure.
Yeah, we want to update. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
so anything else you want to share?
I wanted to share an excerpt from one of my favorite poems, and it's called Desiderata. It's by a guy called Max Ehrman, is his name, and the whole poem is so beautiful. Like it begins, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste," and then what I'm going to read is kind of the end, and it just has a beautiful line in it, and I've changed it a little bit to be I've changed one word in it. You'll probably be able to tell. And this is something that I go back to frequently when I'm feeling distressed or distraught about business or life or the world or the environment or anything. So it goes, okay. Nice. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive her to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. You're welcome. Yeah, I love that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. What a nice thing to close on. Yeah, that was Very nice. How
Right.
can people get a hold of you?
Mostly I'm just working on by word of mouth and referral. So I don't have a website right now. And that may change soon. But for now, actually, ironically, the best way for people to get in touch with me if we're not connected yet through other means is through Facebook. And on Facebook, I go by a different name than is Elizabeth Winter Plum. So on Facebook, I'm Elizabethan Zest.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just Z as in zebra, yeah.
Zest, like as in zebra,
zest.
EST,
Exactly,
right?
like you're gonna zest a lemon. So yeah, you can shoot me a message, tell me how you heard about me, or maybe you heard this podcast. And I'm actually going to be running a deeply discounted experimental coaching sessions later this month. So this is actually a really great time to reach out if you haven't worked with me before. This will be kind of an experimental way to work with new clients, and I'm going to be launching that in late March.
Nice. I will be sure to give me the information. I'll post it on my page, my Facebook page, in case people are finding you through that venue. Since this gets
it's on
live
Facebook,
there,
right? So
it might be there.
Yeah. Cool. Lisi, thank you so much.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I do not have a guest lined up for next week, so it's going to be a surprise. I will have somebody. So yeah, everybody should join us next week on through Get Vocal or Facebook. You can stream. It'll be streamed live, so you see me there again next week at some point in time. I don't really know yet. Winging it. But thank you again, Elizabeth, for joining us today on the Experiencing Entrepreneur podcast. And we look forward to hearing more great things from you in the future.
Bye.
Right, see you guys later. Bye.